All right, welcome to the May edition of the LC Tech Hangouts. My name is Josh Allen. I am the Technology Integration Specialist for Lewis Central Community Schools. These are meant as a introduction for our staff, but hopefully other people can learn from it and gain some benefit from it. This month, we are going to talk about if this, then that, more commonly known as IFTTT. IFTTT.com. And if you want to connect during the Hangout today or at any time, you can use the Q&A feature on the Hangout page. If you have a question, you should be able to put it there. Hopefully it's enabled. You can tweet. You can use the LC Tech Hangout hashtag or mention me, J_Allen is my Twitter account, or post it as a comment on the Hangout page, and I will check in with all of those towards the end of the show here. So one of the things that we've talked a lot about this year is using our Bright Bytes data to figure out where it is that we're going and what are some things that we need. And one of the things I noticed after our most recent data collection is that information management is something that is fairly high on the list of things that teachers are interested in. Out of those that were listed there, it came in fourth, and some of the other ones are ones that we've already addressed or we address in other ways. If this, then that really manages the information that you have online. It can automate a lot of that. We're going to show you how here in a little bit. And what it does is it takes all of these things that are online, whether it is a social media, Google, it does a lot with the Internet of Things, which we'll talk a little bit about in a little while. And it automates things that can happen. So they have a couple different apps. On the left, you can see there's a do recipe, and on the right is an if recipe. And so recipes are the things that you create to tie things together. A do recipe, those happen with a touch of a button. And an if recipe is the main thing that we're going to focus on because those allow you a little bit more flexibility in how those can happen. Mentioned if and do. So if, the one in the upper left-hand corner, there are apps that you can do it. You can also just go to the website, IFTTT.com. And then on the right-hand side, you can see this is relatively new. Within the last, I don't know, 6 months or so, they have these do apps. And so if you notice, like in the middle, send your photos anywhere with do camera. And so basically, that's an app that you download. And when you use that, you press a button and something automatically happens. So I have one a do recipe for my camera that's anytime I take a picture with that do recipe, it sends it to Evernote. And the idea behind it is to use as for receipts. So I snap a picture of my receipt, it goes to Evernote. I have a do note for posting to Tumblr. We have a Tumblr website for funny stuff that our kids say. So I can type a short note and press the do button in, or the do note app, and it automatically posts it to Tumblr for me. So I don't use those as much as I use the recipes, but if it's something that you always do, it's an easy way to set some of those things up. I had one over Easter. Anytime I took a picture with the do camera, it automatically uploaded it to Flickr, which is where we store our pictures. So there's lots of ways to do that. That's a quick way that, like I said, is pretty new. So like I said, it takes all of these channels, and channels are different web services that are out there. I believe they have 160, 170 different places that you could get information or you could tie information to and from. I by no means know very many of them. I think I was looking the other day, I have about 75 of the 180 or whatever channels activated. If you look on the social networking ones, app.net, I think I've heard of, but I don't know what it is. Facebook, I know. Foursquare, I don't use anymore, but I know what it is. GitHub, I don't know. GroupMe, I think I've heard of. Life360, I don't know. I can't even pronounce the next one that's there. So there's a lot of things here that you might not necessarily use, but it's definitely worth browsing through. I've actually found a few apps that I didn't know about until If This Then That. You know, it's opened my eyes to some other ways of doing things as well. And again, these we'll actually go into If This Then That here shortly and take a look at how these work. So you have your channels, which we just showed you, which are the web services that are out there that you're probably already using. And what If This Then That does is it wants you to create a recipe with those channels. So it has a trigger and an action. The first thing, the this, is a trigger. So if this happens, when something happens in one of those channels, then that happens, and which is the action. So you have triggers and actions. When a trigger happens, then that makes the action happen on the other end. So the nice thing about it is, or one of the nice things about If This Then That, it has a great, very well organized community of recipes that are already there. You don't have to always create your own. You can go search and borrow from others. It basically, if you notice, like they have the add your watch later videos to Pocket, and Pocket is kind of like a, not really social bookmarking, but it's kind of a read later type of thing. If you use that recipe, if you borrow that recipe, it ties it to your own account. So you really don't have to do a lot. You can tweak it if you need to, but you don't have to. The middle article, or the middle recipe there, with the New York Times, and I think that's email. There's really nothing you have to do. If you're interested in reading a digest of the week's popular business day articles, you click yes, I want to use this recipe, and then you're done. So it's really that simple to borrow from others. If you go into the channels, they give you some examples of what you could do, so that again, I go through this and I look at things or channels and services that I'm already using, and then I look, well, how are other people using those? So if you look there, the first in the upper left-hand corner there is a If This Then That recipe. If you save a star, or if you star a email in Gmail, it saves it to Evernote, so you have a backup copy of it. I am a huge fan of Inbox Zero. I hate having stuff in my inbox, so this would be a way for me to clean out my inbox, but maybe it's something that I want to keep, and it would save a copy of it to Evernote. The next one, we talked about the do buttons. That's a do camera, and I can see the little camera icon there. So if I were to use that recipe, that do recipe, anytime I take a picture with my do app, it automatically sends me a copy of that picture to my email. Add receipts, orders, and invoices to a Google Drive spreadsheet. So I'm not sure how that one would work, but it saves a copy of that into your spreadsheet. Saving your Gmail attachments to Dropbox, if you're a Dropbox fan. On the way home. So this is a do button, a different app than the camera up above. This, you just push a button and it sends someone an email saying that you're on the way home. You could do that with a lot of things. You could do that with an iOS notification. You push the button and it would give someone a notification that you're on the way home. Actually, that one might not work because the notification would be for your own phone. So, but you could do it as a text message or something like that. Label a Gmail Evernote, and it sends it to Evernote instead of just labeling it in your email. So these are all, this is just a screenshot from the Gmail channel in If This Then That. So you can find these on any of the channels that they have there. And if you scroll down a little more, what it does is it gives you some ideas of what this channel, in this case Instagram, plays nice with. So if I scroll down on the Instagram, it says, hey, this Instagram channel goes well with Twitter, Dropbox, Facebook, and Facebook Pages. And if I click on Facebook Pages, then it says, well, here are some recipes that people are using to tie Instagram and Facebook Pages together. This is one that I think a lot of teachers could use if you're setting up a Facebook page for your class or for your school and an Instagram account. You can tie those two things together so that if you do something in Instagram, whether it's any picture you take or certain hashtags, then it sends it over to your Facebook page. And you don't necessarily have to borrow from someone else. If you're not finding what it is that you're looking for, you can always start from scratch. Again, remember, a recipe has to have a trigger and an action. Depending on the channel, some channels don't have any triggers, some don't have any actions. This is Google Calendar. Google Calendar has 3 triggers and 1 action. The 1 action is to add an event. YouTube is one that has no action. You cannot automate uploading to YouTube, but there's a lot of triggers. One of the triggers for YouTube is if you add it to watch later, then it saves it to Pocket, which is an example that we saw. Google Drive is one that has no trigger. You can't start anything in Google Drive and make something else happen as an action, but it's got like 7 or 8 different actions that you can do with Google Drive. So it just depends on the service. You'll just have to go through and look at the different channels and see, again, what you're wanting it to do. So let me pop out of this presentation and run over to If This Then That. So I am logged in on my account, my If This Then That account. And when I get here, again, like we showed, it's got some examples. So these are collections. If you're getting ready for a wedding, you can click on that. If you're going to a baseball game, you can click on that. They feature certain recipes, and then see ones that are that you're excited, that are trending at least, or that are getting people excited. When you enter or leave the home, get a reminder to save battery. I'm not sure what you do with that, but you can do that. I see a lot of this. Automatically add people who have mentioned you to a Twitter list. I see a lot of, like if you follow someone, then you tweet back to them or something like that. Let's see, what else? Remind yourself a week in advance about your anniversary. That could save a lot of marriages. Try that one out. I need to get on that because mine's coming up. So there are some examples here that you can look at. Again, if I click on this recipe for baseball fans, for example, these are specific to baseball. So this Giphy website, follow all the latest GIFs from your favorite team. Sports Illustrated, if Sports Illustrated puts out something new about Major League Baseball, then it automatically sends it to Pocket for you to read offline or somewhere else. So let's see, help friends find you at the game with a map link. So it looks like if you're at a game and you use the do button and you have this, it will send a text message to your friends showing them where you are at the map. So Android notifications, follow breaking news from there. You can do for your favorite team. So with this, you're probably going to have your ESPN account in there, possibly, which isn't a huge deal. So again, there's just a ton of different things that you can use. Let's say that I want to, let's do this one. Get an iOS notification with your favorite team's final score. So I'm going to click on that. And that's exactly what I want. I don't need to make any changes to it. So if I scroll down, it says, well, which team are you looking for? So I would go to Major League Baseball, and I would choose Cleveland Indians, and then I would click Add a Recipe. And then I'm done. That's all I have to do. So now I will get, if I go back to my recipes, here it is, get an iOS notification with your favorite team's final score. So tonight, after the Indians play and they beat the White Sox, I will get an iOS notification on my phone saying the Indians won 15-0, or whatever the score happens to be. So that's all that you need to do for that. Again, that is just under Browse. You can search for other people's recipes that I've already created. Under channels, I mentioned, I guess there's 183. I don't have nearly as many as what I thought. There's only 42. So if you scroll down, it shows you all these different channels, new and noteworthy. I can't tell you what any of these things are. iOS reading list is an offline reader. Other than that, I kind of know what the Wemo stuff is, but we'll get into that in a little bit later. If you have an Android phone or an Android device, lots of different Android-specific ones. If you're into blogging, you can have certain posts automatically, or certain things happen to automatically blog. We do a picture-a-day blog through Blogger, and you can find a link to how I do that on techfridge.com, my website. But I have a recipe that says if I post something on Instagram and I use the hashtag blog, BLOG, one that I just made up, then it automatically creates a new blog post on that blog. So I don't have to do anything with it. I also have it set up so that if I post a new blog, or I have a new post on my Picture a Day blog, it automatically puts it to Facebook. So it makes a new post for me in Facebook. So, and then it also, in a separate recipe, it uploads the picture that I have plus the text to Flickr. So there's my backup. So I have 3 different recipes. I have Blogger to Facebook. Whenever I make a new post, it goes to Facebook. I also have Blogger to Flickr. So it uploads the picture and adds the text. And if I do an Instagram post and hashtag blog, then it goes to Blogger, it makes a new blog post, and the other 2 things are done automatically for me. So it takes a little bit of setting up, but it's kind of like dominoes. You knock one over and the other ones start going. So again, if you go to techfridge.com, the links on how to do that are all there. Some Best Buy, you can do some tracking of your stuff. Craigslist is there. I don't have a fancy enough car for any of this kind of stuff. Connected Home, if you have like the Wemo plugins, you can have those automatically shut off and turn on. We'll talk a little bit about those later. If you have fitness stuff, the Up by Jawbone or Nike Plus, you can do some things there for iPads. So then if I click on iOS notifications, it tells me what personal recipes I have, what published recipes I have using this notification. You can come down, it shows me the popular ones that we talked about earlier. And then if I go down, remember, iOS notifications go great with these types of things, those channels. And again, with iOS notifications, there's no trigger that you can really have for a notification. And there's not a whole lot of actions. The only thing it's going to do is notify you. So there's only one action, but it compare with a lot of different other channels. So let's go back here. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and make our own brand new one from scratch. And remember, this is the if this then that recipes. It's not the do recipes. Do only one thing's happen. Depending on the app you're using, the do button, if you push a button, this is going to happen. If you take a picture with the do camera app, then it's only going to do one thing. What we're doing here is we're saying if this thing happens online with one of these services, then that's going to happen. So I'm going to go back to my recipes, and I'm going to click the create a recipe button. So here's my recipe. The first thing I need to do is click on the trigger. So if this, so what is it that I want to happen? Let's go down here and make, let's choose Instagram. So they said, okay, what do you want Instagram to do? These are all the triggers that it could do. Any new photo by you with a specific hashtag, new photo by you in an area, new photo by anyone in an area, new photo by a specific user, or if I like a photo. Let's do new photo by you with a specific hashtag. This is one I use quite a bit. So this would be if I don't want all of my Instagram pictures to go somewhere, but maybe I want just certain ones. So like I mentioned, my blog post via Instagram. I take a lot of Instagram pictures, but I only want certain ones to become blog posts. For this tag, I'm just going to use our district hashtag. So I'm going to say LC Titans. So anytime I use the LC Titans hashtag, then, so if a new photo by me on Instagram, hashtagged LC Titans, then that happens. So I could do, let's see, I could send a copy to Evernote if I wanted to. I could back it up to Flickr, which is a photo sharing site. I could put it on a Facebook page. I could make it, if I click on Facebook pages, let's go ahead and do that. So if on Instagram, I use the hashtag LC Titans, I could upload a photo from that URL. So that's obviously something that I would do. And what's nice is it says, okay, what's the photo URL going to be? Well, I don't have to change this at all. It does that for me automatically. It's going to take it from there. It's going to do the caption, which is great. So I type it in Instagram and it's going to grab that caption for me. I don't even have to do anything. And then it's going to put a URL in there. So it's going to link back to my Instagram account, which is nice. If I click inside that message button, I can come over here to this little beaker looking thing. And it's going to say, well, there's all these other ingredients you could do. Is there anything else you want? Most of the time, I don't need to adjust these at all. Usually that's exactly what I want. Maybe I even take stuff out. It's up to you. And then you can name the album. So I would say this is LC Titans album. So then I would click Create Action. So now I'm done. So it says, if I take a new photo, hashtag LC Titans, it's going to upload that to, actually it's the NITA Facebook page, because that's the Facebook page I have attached to this account. It gives me a title. It asks if I want to receive a notification. I can do that. If you're going to have it happen a lot, I would probably suggest not doing that. And then I would just create the recipe. And I'm done. That's it. One way that you could use this in a school district is if you're having a district event, you could turn this on for a short amount of time. Let's say that you have a Friday night football game or a play. You could have a specific hashtag for that play, or maybe it's for your district account. You could say if a new photo by anyone hashtagged whatever your hashtag is, then upload a copy of it to your district Facebook page. Now you may think that's a little bit crazy, but the nice thing is you can always turn this on and off. So I'm going to turn this recipe off. So now it's not working. So if someone were to do this, if I were to use that hashtag right now, it wouldn't run. It wouldn't go there. So doing it for a specific amount of time, you can monitor your page for that amount of time and then shut it off once you don't want to monitor your Facebook page anymore. So that's kind of a nice way to kind of crowdsource what other people are doing. Again, you can get the notifications. If you leave it on for a longer amount of time, you can get a notification when it does run, so that you can go make sure it's an appropriate picture. So that's all there is to it, to create a recipe. It's really about you going in and figuring out what it is that you want to tie together, what it is that you want to have happen, what it is that you want to automate. We mentioned the Internet of Things. And again, we don't necessarily have a lot of these. Oh, this is what we do for Lewis Central CSD. I have a lot of the processes automated. So on Twitter, there is a way in Twitter in the settings of Twitter, you can say anything that you tweet automatically goes to Facebook. And in Facebook, you can set it up so that anything you post on your Facebook page automatically goes to your Twitter account. But I don't necessarily want everything to go back and forth. So what I've done is I've created a Twitter hashtag makes Facebook page text post. So on Twitter, if you see the Lewis Central CSD account, tweet and then have the hashtag FB at the end, that post is going to go to Facebook. So I've posted it in 2 different places. Instagram, automatically, every time we post to Instagram, it goes to the Facebook page and uploads it into a Lewis Central CSD photo album. So we have all of that information there. One thing that I thought about, this is our first year for it, but you could do it by years, by school years. So you could have like a 2014-15 and then go into back to your if this then that recipe and then have it automatically put into a 2015-16 for next year. The other thing that we do with Instagram is we automatically post it to Twitter. The one downside that I've noticed is that in Instagram, you don't have a character limit, but in Twitter, you do. So if you've ever posted to Instagram, you see that there's a Twitter button in there. But what happens is the picture doesn't show up in Twitter. It posts it like a link. So this Instagram to Twitter posts it within Twitter. So you don't actually have a link back to Instagram, but Twitter has a character limit. So if your Instagram post is longer than 140 characters, which if you go to the Lewis Central CSD Twitter account, you see one from last night that it just kind of cuts itself off. So that is one of the downsides that I'm trying to work through. But for right now, most of the time they're under 140 characters. So this is how we use if this then that to make social media for our district kind of be automated. And the Instagram to Facebook page, I mentioned there is an Instagram or there is a Twitter button in Instagram when you post. If in Instagram, you can't post directly to a Facebook page. There is a Facebook button there, but it goes to your personal account. So you can set up an if this then that recipe and have it automatically post to your Facebook page. Pictures really, Instagram, and I know if you look back in the other LC Tech Hangouts, we talk about Instagram. I really think Instagram is huge in education. Parents love pictures. Kids love pictures. They love Instagram. So I think that is really something that more schools need to pick up on. And we're trying to do a good job of it. It's still, again, we're still fairly new, but we have quite a few kids that follow our Instagram page. I mentioned the Internet of Things, which again, I don't have a lot of, but I just had to share these because they kind of make me laugh a little bit. You notice on the far left, if this then that. So we talked about ESPN and the action is the Philips Hue light bulb, which I think is like 45 bucks or something like that. It's pretty expensive, but it's connected to the internet. And so you can have it first pitch of the Dodgers in this case. It turns the light to a blue color in your house, so everyone knows that it's time for the Dodgers game. It's just had first pitch because that light turns blue. The egg minder tells you how many eggs you have, so you put all of your eggs into this thing. And then there's quite a few different ways. You can make this an iOS notification, but when your eggs get down to a certain level, then it tells you. You get a notification on your phone that you need to buy eggs, which I think is, I guess, awesome and creepy all at the same time. Dash is the car, ties into your car. Computer, it tells you how many miles you've driven, and then you can log all of that in Google Drive on a spreadsheet, which I just think it's crazy. Some of the things that you can tie together, all for free. If this and that is all free, so crazy stuff. So this is the end of LC Tech Hangouts for 2015, 2016. You can see this recording and all of the other ones from this year at bit.ly/josh@lc. All of the spreadsheet or all the presentations and everything are there. Let me quick check. I don't think we have any questions. So if not, thanks for joining in. Hope you enjoy the video, and we'll see you later.